everyone. You're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends break down romance novels scene by scene and give you our highly learned takes on the craft. Just kidding. We mostly do silly voices and cackle at our own jokes. Today's episode is no different. Before we get started, I'm going to do a Patreon shout-out. Susan R., you are descended from Kanaloa, the Hawaiian god known for being the spiritual leader of the underworld, a mysterious healer, and teacher of magic, who would most often take the form of an octopus, or he'e. Growing up, Kanaloa was my third favorite Hawaiian god behind Pele and Hi'iaka, and he might be the origin of my love for octopodes. In myths, he is powerful, yet flexible, and can get out of any scrape he finds himself in. He's the deity ancient Hawaiians called on when wayfinding because he's the navigator. He's the subtle complement to Hawaii's chief god, Kane. Don't believe the Howleys who say that Kanaloa is evil or Hawaii's devil. That's some Judeo-Christian projection that happened after missionaries colonized the islands and started bastardizing their culture. Instead, he's a leader. He's flexible, intelligent, and multifaceted, just like you. Head over to our Patreon if you want close to 150 bonus episodes, gifts, and shout-outs like the one you just heard. And now, Erin and I recap Love's Serenade by Sheryl Lister. Enjoy! It's so weird every time it talks to us.
The funny thing to me is how it asks my consent. It's like, do you know this woman? Because she's making a video of you right now. That's what I love about it. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, can I tell you what happened this morning to me?
I have a story too. I was like, she's going to love me so much because I'm coming in with banter. All right.
Do love
you tell me. Okay. What's your deal?
Listen, I have been burning the midnight oil, getting bonkers off the ground. Like I'm eating, I'm sleeping. Well, I'm rarely sleeping, but I'm just like, I feel like I'm you. I feel like I have 3 jobs and it's just because it's at the very beginning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So last night, I finally stumbled up to bed and I made the mistake of taking my melatonin 15 minutes before I normally do. So I was very sleepy when I got up there. And then this morning, Michael let me sleep in, which was incredible. And so I rolled over and I bleary-eyed looked over at the at my side table and there was half a piece of chocolate sitting there. Just half an eaten piece of chocolate.
Half, though. Half.
I had taken a bite on the way up the stairs, put it down on my side table, forgotten.
Oh, okay.
Gotten ready for bed, and then went the fuck to sleep. And so this morning, I had a little piece of breakfast chocolate.
That's great.
The best.
You should do that every day.
I agree with you. I agree.
I've never eaten half a piece of chocolate. What's that like?
Listen, it was the 5th piece of chocolate. But I only managed to do half of it, and then I set it down while I was putting down my phone and stuff, and I was so tired that it all just looked the same to me. So,
okay. Well, I understand if you don't recognize it as an edible object because you've tricked yourself. My God, Melody is eating. Melody, hi listener. Melody has a drink that she's drinking.
Oh yeah, I do.
And there are cubes of mango in the bottom. Is that correct? And she just snorkeled that the drink is gone. And she just snorkeled a lot of the mango down from the bottom, shook it into her mouth, and then had it in her cheeks like a chipmunk. And she's about to do it again.
Yeah.
Here's my story. We're legit famous now. My God.
What?
She can't. It's like Chubby Bunny. Just be normal. Touch it with your hands like a normal human woman. We have thumbs. We don't have to do this. You know? You're not a dog where your mouth is your hands, you know? You can use them. I was just talking about that lately. Does it blow anyone else's mind that, dogs and cats, their mouths are their hands?
I know.
If they want to pick something up, they have no choice other than to put it in their mouth.
It's true.
Isn't that kind of nuts?
Wait, My other story is that I saw a squirrel today as I was driving. I saw a squirrel carrying another squirrel in its mouth.
Okay, that's a story. Because I was going to say, I feel like you are really stretching what a story is with both the chocolate story and I saw a squirrel. But double squirrel, that's a story. Tell me everything.
Is that squirrel dead? But I stopped. No, I stopped at the stop sign and I could have gone. I could have gotten to my destination
you're in a car
on time.
For this?
Yes, it ran across the road in front of me. Just as I was pulling up to the stop sign, it ran across the fucking crosswalk, this squirrel, and it had another living squirrel in its mouth. And I sat there and I was late to my destination because I was like, I need to know everything about this squirrel couple. What happened? What's their story? Is he carrying her over the threshold or vice versa? What's going on here?
Yeah.
I never got the full story out of them.
Oh.
One of its mouths was full. You understand. So it really couldn't tell me. And
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But I did see that other squirrel, move its tail and then wrap it around the neck of the other one. So I really feel like it was either a romantical situation or it was a mother squirrel, baby squirrel situation. It was a juvenile-ish squirrel, I feel like, or a small one. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm not a squirrelologist.
That's the problem we had with that Triceratops.
Yes.
Remember that?
Is it a baby?
Wow, we're not talking about books today. There was that time that there was on the cover a woman and a small Triceratops that were going to bang in this book.
It was so small.
Somehow that became an issue of this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
Listener felt that might be an issue because the Triceratops might be too young to consent.
I mean, bestiality is one thing, but pedophile bestiality is something that's totally different, okay?
No one questioned whether an adult Triceratops could consent to having sex with this human woman, but we did not want a baby Triceratops having sex. So it was either a small Triceratops.
Yeah.
Or a baby one. And then, people were weighing in on, the science. And it's these are the people to listen to our show. Anyway,
I love it.
Hi, good morning. That's not a word. Speaking of...
Famousness?
Famousness. I don't know what 4 words I was trying to say at the same time. Bespiffing. Speaking of being famous, guess what?
What?
Oh, she can't say what, because again... shaking those mangoes into her mouth.
Come on! Stop ditching me out. No, stop diming me out.
Should we do this? Are we having
I think I'm drunk.
Oh, that's probably true. That's drunk fruit, too. The fruit's getting you drunk like an 1800s lady.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm very fancy and old-timey over here.
Anyways, my friend Christine, her friend Angela, who I don't know and lives in San Francisco, was driving around the Bay Area and saw somebody with a Heaving Bosom sticker on their car.
No.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And was like, I think that's my friend's podcast.
Wow.
So that's fame. We did it, right?
I think so. I mean, I feel like I did
famous
right now.
Yeah.
In this moment, I feel achieved.
Yeah.
Achieved?
Totally.
Oh, no. Sure. This is going to go
well. Melody. Why did you do it?
I don't know. Listen, so Michael made me this cocktail, and then he was playing with the kids, and so I snuck away, and I did get another one because it was so good. And I came back with a full one, and he was like, oh, I thought you said you were recording tonight. And I was like, I am. I'm going to be totally fine. It's going to be great. And it will be. So today we're talking about Love Serenade by Sheryl Lister.
That's the serenade.
That's our love song, Erin. You and I.
Whew, that's the best serenade we've serenaded since that young adult book.
I agree. I don't think there's any way that anybody could argue with that. So, we're in 1924s, down in Louisiana.
Yeah, she started.
Alabama.
Well, I don't know. She said
Magnolia
about,
somewhere.
The border to go to Louisiana at some point. So she may be in maybe a Georgia
Arkansas.
Or Mississippi.
It's in Arkansas.
It's in Arkansas because Liz is from Arkansas as well.
Yes. Magnolia, Arkansas. And it's 1924, and Leigh
no, I want to talk about this first.
Oh, tell me everything.
So this book, Sheryl Lister, who's the author of this book, wrote a different book for every decade of the 20th century.
Nice.
Did you know that?
No.
So this is a series. There's a book, both featuring black main character, or all featuring black main characters in each decade of the century. Isn't that cool?
I thought it was different authors for each decade.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think
it
so.
Is.
It's a group project.
So it's a group project. I'm so sorry. But this one is Sheryl Lister. But I just thought that was really cool. It's part of a series, but the series, they're all standalones.
Yeah.
But I feel like there are so few books from the 20s. And I see a lot of people asking about books like that has kind of like that fashion sense and the jazz and the, all the blur. And this is one of the very few ones. And so if you're looking for a book from a specific decade, check out this series because you will find it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that was... I didn't know it was like all the way through the 20th century, though. That's really neat.
Now I'm nervous that it isn't all black main characters. I thought so when I said that, but since I got the author wrong, now I'm nervous I got everything wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure because it's Decades, A Journey of African American Romance.
Oh, perfect.
That's what the series is called.
Then I should hope so.
Yeah, right?
If there's a rogue book in there with white main characters, then, that would be strange.
They did not understand the assignment.
Yeah, they didn't get the assignment, if that's the case.
I don't know.
Strange that it was chosen.
Yeah, I don't know how they got
project.
past the editor, frankly.
All right. Okay. So we're in Louisiana.
We're in Arkansas.
We're in Arkansas. We're on our way to Louisiana.
Yeah. And Miles and Leigh have decided to leave their Mary.
Miles and Mary Lee. Maybelle, Mary.
She's changing her name, everyone, and she wants to be called Leigh, and so I want to respect that, mostly because I don't super recall what the first... It was Mary or Maylee.
It had May in it. The reason why I'm bringing this up is I kind of felt like this is one of those books where there's a guy that like knew her before she was something different, before her transformation.
Yeah.
And he calls her like given name.
You know what?
Immediately.
It's both. It's Maylee, and then later on it says Mary Lee Johnson turned slightly. Miles Cooper, I told you to stop calling me that old country name. So it's both Maylee and Mary Lee.
See, we're both right.
I know.
So
look at us.
He calls her that, and she's like, "No, I want to be Leigh now because I'm going to go be a jazz singer in New York City.
She's going to be a fancy."
Yeah, but I kind of wanted that to come back more than it did. Like, I kind of wanted him to be like he knew her before she changed her name, and then once she got all fancy, I kind of wanted him to be like, I know the real you. Because there are some times where he's like, I know you more than anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
I know how you do your apple pies and how you dip your toast in coffee. We'll get there.
Oh, we'll get there.
But like those kinds of things. And it's like he's the only one around her now that knows that she's
Liz
actually
does
Maylee.
too. Liz is from her hometown.
Yeah, I know. I just kind of wanted it to come back and it never did. Anyways, so here they are.
I guess it came back in different ways, but it wasn't specifically him calling her Maylee. And I actually liked that because I thought it showed how much he respects her.
Yeah, I think I just love the trope so much of like when somebody in the main couple has a name for the other one that no one else has.
Yeah.
And that maybe that doesn't fit in this book, but I wanted it to fit in this book. Anyways, all right.
So I will say that overall, I think that the tone of this book is not usually my style. Like, I read up on Sheryl Lister, and it says that she writes a lot of inspirational romance in addition to other romance. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, this is why I'm not like super meshing with the tone. I really liked the story. I really liked the narrative. I really liked how sweet and yet very sexy it was. It managed to be sexy as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it has an inspirational romance tone that I just generally don't jive with. So
the tone of this didn't. I really wanted to like it, Mel, and I just didn't. The tone didn't resonate with me, and then also to me, the story didn't make a ton of sense with their motivation. Like, I just kept being like, "Why are you guys keep making these choices? Like, I don't get it." Okay, and I kept feeling like there there just wasn't a lot of there. Like, I just felt like it kept going without, like, a reason to keep going. And things kept dragging on and didn't, like, need to keep dragging in the way that they were. It's that thing of, like, just talk to each other. Why do these conversations keep ending prematurely? Like, it just kept kind of churning in that way without really going forward. And anyway.
Yeah, I
wanted to like it. I just kind of didn't, but
Fair enough. I mean, I think that the only thing that, like, as far as the narrative structure is concerned, that I didn't super love is that it didn't really feel like there was a subplot. Like, all of the conflicts felt like equal conflicts. And they all sort of held equal importance instead of one being the main and then the other sort of being sub-conflicts. And so each one sort of needed its own climax. And because of that, I was like, I don't know which one, like, we're doing now. I don't know, like, why is this one as important as this other one? You know, that kind of thing. So I think that's the only thing that I didn't super love about the narrative structure. But regardless, I really liked them. Like, I really liked both of them. This is a really comforting story in that all of the conflicts are, for the most part, like, external. Like, I, the reader, was never, ever worried about their relationship because of choices they were making. It was all either external or, like, miscommunications. And so because of that, it didn't, like, I wasn't like, oh no, what's going on with them? Are they going to be okay? Like, are they safe? Are they little? And I really liked that.
See, I didn't buy a lot of the conflict and their motivations and stuff.
Sure.
So, like, but I did really appreciate I believed strongly the setting, and she put in a lot of history and day-to-day stuff about, like, living in New York City, well, specifically Harlem in the 20s, and, like, just kind of dumb stuff, like doing their laundry and kind of the settings of the jazz clubs and, like, the colors and the smoking and the, you know, just kind of the vibe. And I really kind of liked being dipped into that.
Yeah,
scene.
I felt like I was just, like, swimming around in the 20s. It was really, really neat.
It was really nice.
I loved. So we'll get into it.
Okay, yeah, we're all over the place. So we're in Arkansas,
Arkansas,
and we're gonna go to Louisiana. And basically, so Leigh, she's Leigh now, and she's cutting out for New York City.
That's
and
right.
Her guy Miles is there, and he's going with her.
Yes.
Question mark?
They're moving to New York together. They're running away. He does not know that she is fleeing a sort of quasi-arranged marriage that she's definitely not into with this grifter who's posing as a churchman.
Right. And has, like, convinced her parents that he's a good churchman.
Yeah.
But what I kind of didn't understand is, like, she said something like, I gave this guy Miles my innocence and we've been together before, but then she's, like, weird about sleeping in the bed with him. So I wasn't sure if they were, like, were they intending to be together?
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, is it because it was one time? Is it because, like, I didn't understand what it meant in that moment. But then toward the end, like, you know, you get that they had only been together that once. They had only been, like, intimate that one time. I get that,
but, like, were they intending, had they made this decision of, like, we're going to be together romantically?
I mean, I thought so, but at the same time, she's weird about sleeping in bed with him, and then, spoiler alert, listener, he fucks off without a word.
Yeah, okay, so basically, all right, so they go to sleep. I was very
confused about the prologue, that's all.
Yeah, I was too. Confused. I was super confused, and it didn't completely get clarified for me either. Right. So they do sleep in the same bed, but they do not screw around,
canoodle at all.
And then in the morning, she gets up and there's a note, and we don't know what it says.
I'm sure it says something like, I had to leave, Miles.
I can't. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And then under the note is a stack of dollar bills.
So many monies he leaves her.
So I was like, okay. And then she's like, then he robbed me. And I'm like, but it sounded like he left you dollars.
Wait, what? He robbed her?
Yeah, he took her music.
Oh, yeah, he
and,
took
like,
her music.
some other stuff, I think.
Yeah.
But they, like, later, it's like, oh, it's stuff to remember her by her, you know. But, like, in the moment, she's like, he fucking stole my music and he's going to sell it to a record producer. And now, you know, I'm destitute because my music is gone.
Yeah.
But then it's like he gave her those bills to pay for the music?
Or to pay for the trip? Like, to pay for the train up? I don't know. But she is heartproken, and I understand that. She is just as bewildered as Erin and I are, you know?
Yes.
So in that way, the prologue is very accurate. So then, chapter 1, we cut forward to 1927. She's in New York.
So 3 years later.
Yeah, 3 years later. And she's been living in Harlem this whole time. She's been living in, like, this building of a friend who moved up from Magnolia as well. And, like, she owns a restaurant downstairs, and she's recently turned the restaurant into a club. Mm-hmm. And so, all of a sudden... She
inherited this restaurant from... Which was also kind of strange because, like, if she's in Magnolia and then she's going to go to Harlem with Miles, like, when did Liz get out to Harlem?
Before,
and her parents? Yeah, so it's like, was that the plan always to meet up with Liz?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Liz's parents were in Harlem and left her the restaurant, but, like, Liz lived in Magnolia?
I don't know about that. I wondered if, like, she and Liz were childhood friends who stayed in touch after Liz moved north.
And, like, her parents got the restaurant and stuff. Okay,
yeah, they got,
that makes
like,
a little more
going.
Sense.
That's what I thought, but it was never, like, written down on the page.
And I thought, like, that would be a normal thing now, but, like, back then, your parents living in Harlem and you living in Arkansas, or growing up in Arkansas is, like, not...
Yeah.
Did not make sense.
Yeah. I mean, unless maybe it does just because... Like, at that point, it's almost like an immigrant story. Like, it's so fucking hard to travel back then that, like, you know, we have friends in Bayonne who started a restaurant over here, and they send basically, like, all the money they can back to their kids in China before they can, like, bring them over. So, I mean, it might be sort of a situation like that.
Yeah, where the parents are in Harlem and Liz is being raised like by an auntie or a grandparent. Right. Yeah, okay, right. I can see that. Yeah. But it's not...
But it's not written down.
We're fanficking right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Liz has done this club thing, but she's out of a singer all of a sudden, everyone.
She has no singer.
Is fucking off to Chicago's.
It's like your best friend moved to Harlem to become a jazz singer, and she's good. It's not like, this is awkward. My friend came here to be a singer, and I own a jazz club, so I have to, like, kind of quietly tiptoe around. Yeah, no, she's good.
No, she's real good.
And she lives above the fucking club. I know. And you're telling me it's been 3 years, and you haven't given this bitch a job? Like, some friend? You kidding me? But, like, finally, the lead singer is like, I'm sick or whatever. And so she's like, what am I going to do? Where will I find a singer?
No. Leigh says that. And then Liz is like, I've got a plan. You. And Liz is like, what? You couldn't possibly.
No, me. I'm just a jazz singer who lives above the fucking club and is your best friend.
It's very cute because then they do a big...
Oh, hey, HBs. I don't know if you've heard, but we have a Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get over 150 bonus episodes, most of which include Erin, videos of regular episodes, author hangouts, and so much more. Do you want to hear Erin and I recap every single episode of Crash Landing on You? What about a little film called Psycho Stripper? Do you want more recaps of ridiculous Thanksgiving and other holiday books and movies? And how do you feel about Naima Simone and I recapping amazing reality TV? All of that and more is on the Patreon. There's so much content at your fingertips as soon as you sign up. Seriously, hours and hours. Anyway, it's patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms Podcast if you want to check it out. And of course, that link is in the show notes. Keep being a badass.
Snuggle, and they're like, oh, ladies supporting ladies. And Leigh has sung in the club like a couple of nights a week and stuff, but it's usually like the shitty Tuesdays, you know?
Yeah, she's like a part-time right now.
So, wow, she has a new job. But then, on her like first night, I feel like, at the Magnolia Club, there's a dude smoking in a corners.
But he says, so we go to Miles's POV, and he says that he's been going to that club and sitting in that booth and getting hit on by Belinda the waitress for 2 weeks.
Really?
Like, how big is this club Right? Because like if I'm like bartending and my ex-boyfriend who betrayed me and stole all my music comes into that bar every night for 2 weeks, I'm gonna notice.
Yeah.
She also lives there.
I mean, I will say this. A couple of the really, really famous jazz clubs that still exist in Harlem, every time I've been to both of them, they were like really dark. And I'm serious, like the lights were down very, very low. And then like the spotlights on the stage or whatever. And I don't know that Liz like knew Miles. So I don't know.
Okay.
I might be fanficking this too, but it's not like a diner.
Uh-huh.
It's a jazz club. It's dark.
Hi.
And smokes.
Good morning.
The hazes of smokes.
Confessions with Erin.
Erin doesn't
hate
like
a jazz
music.
club.
She doesn't
Can't
like going
do
there.
it. Hate a jazz club. I don't listen. Love New Orleans. Loved going to bars. Hate a jazz club. Can't do it. I don't. Well, you know how I feel about live music.
Yes.
I'm mostly anti.
Yeah.
Unless I can be very far away.
And you can
unless
be
it's dashboards confessionals,
away.
and then and I was far. I don't like it when it's loud, and I especially don't like it when it's right there.
Yeah.
I don't want to try to have a conversation with my friend when there's a singer right there playing like a washboard and being like,
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like live music. I'm sorry, I'm the worst. And a jazz club is like the worst part of it because people take jazz so serious.
They take it very seriously.
And you never know if you're like allowed to talk or like if it's the time, because sometimes it seems like in jazz you are allowed to talk, but then other times it's like everybody hush. It's the scat times or something like there's some parts where it's like, no,
this guy's improvising.
And it's like, well, I can't fucking tell the difference. To me, it's just like boop, 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 boop. Like it's all sounds. So, and again, I play multiple instruments. I don't know or care about jazz.
I love a jazz club. This is one of the many ways we are different. I love a jazz club. I love getting just drunk enough to like feel like I can feel the music going into my body. It's the best. Oh,
yeah, I
love it. I love watching like the upright bassist just like keeping that fucking time on the boom, 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 boom.
It
boom,
seems
boom, boom,
fine.
boom, boom,
I just don't want to. I
love
want
it.
to let it happen if it wants to happen. I just don't need to be there.
I hear you. Anyway,
but guys, I loved La La Land. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke that I wanted to make. Okay,
big hard joke.
I didn't know about jazz until Ryan Gosling like taught me about it, and then you guys.
God.
Jazz. Anyway, sorry.
He was like tinkling on those ivories, I feel like. Tinkle, tinkle.
Ryan Gosling invented jazz.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Okay. So anyway,
on.
He is like, she is so technically good up there. Wow. Leigh is just doing the damn business up there. But then he's like, but you know what's missing that I know that I can pull out of her is passions. And so he surprises her on stage, which is a mean thing to do. After you abandon someone in the dead of the night 3 years ago.
Steps out into the light.
He does. And he like shoos the pianist away, and then he plays the duet they wrote together that he stole.
The one he stole!
One of the
there
few he
is so
stole.
much in this book of Miles being like, it's not time for that yet. Shh. Not until we're ready. I don't want to rush you, baby. It wasn't the time. Miles, this wasn't the time.
No.
This isn't a great idea. Also, this is a brand new job. Don't fuck her up. She might get fired by her best friend. It's clearly a tenuous friendship when it comes to the business end of the situation.
She's a businesswoman.
Yeah.
So they do play that song, and it is gorgeous, and the crowd, like, eats it up with a spoon, and it's a whole thing. Mm-hmm. But then he tries to, like, sidle on up to her, and she's like, go fuck yourself, to the point that she punches him in the jaw. And I loved
she gives
it.
him a big punch.
Yeah.
I liked that. I enjoyed that.
I loved it a lot.
Everybody in the club is very surprised.
Yeah.
And horny.
And right. And Belinda, the waitress, is like, how dare you touch that man I've been hitting on to no avail.
Belinda, it's been 2 weeks. Like, buck up or shut up.
I mean,
either he's gonna fuck you or he's not.
Yeah.
And it's been 2 weeks, ma'am. So
right, Belinda,
get a different plan. Yeah.
Yikes.
Anyway,
she goes up to her house, and then Liz is like, "Hey, girl, that dude is still down there, and also that's Miles, right? Like that's the Miles." And she's like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk to him. Like, tell him to fuck off." But she convinces her to go down, and they have a teeny tiny chat, and he's like, "I'm here because I missed you."
This is my problem, though. The teeniest chat. Because it's like, she goes down there, and it's very like, you're back, and I don't like it, because you left, and you left me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm back because I missed you. And there's no like, why did you leave?
Right.
Or there is, but it's like, why did you leave? I can't tell you right now. And then she's like, okay, this conversation is over. I have to wash my hair. And then like leave. Like,
I mean, also fair.
I guess, but it's just like, have a full conversation. If the conflict in the book is predicated by them continuously cutting off the conversation right after they ask the question, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know how to say it. I'll find an example at some point, because they do this another 16 times.
Yeah, I totally hear you. There were definitely moments where I was like, why can't you tell her, Miles? Is your tongue broken?
And then when he tells her, I still don't fucking get it. Like, I still don't really...
I know. Well, I mean,
it's not like some big... I thought we were gonna get like a big secret or something.
No, there's no secret. So then they part... And she, like, does laundry in the 20s and stuff. And what? That's what happens.
I just love it. Like, could we just add that they do stuff in the 20s to everything? And then she goes down the stairs in the 20s. In the 20s. And then they do have a conversation with each other. And it's the 20s.
And in the 20s.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get like sort of his story, and he's like, yeah, I'm here because I missed her. I'm here because I want her back. I'm here because I left 3 years ago because I felt like I had to, because I didn't know how to like put down roots. And I knew that that's like what she wanted. And so instead I left, and I've had like a few dalliances, but nobody's ever been like Leigh. I've always broken up with them because she's the only person that I want. Like, it's not just her personality, it's her voice, it's her goals, it's her passion, it's like all of these things. So he's very set on winning her back, and he realizes it's gonna be an uphill climb, but he also like is definitely only gonna do it on his terms, which I found hilarious. Yeah. Yes. So the next major thing that happens, I think, is that they go to a house party. And I really liked, this was one of the historical details that I really, really loved. So we're in the midst of Prohibition. And, you know, that's when in New York, especially New York, Chicago, a lot of other big cities, that's when a lot of speakeasies happen. And that's one of the reasons that blues music and blues dancing became so popular, is because people would go, you know, they would like pack in, and there wasn't a lot of like room to do the Lindy Hop and other dances that like require a lot of spinning and a lot of jumping and a lot of other shit. And so I loved this because this one in particular is called a rent party, because one of the people in the couple like lost their job. And so the whole neighborhood is coming and bringing food, and you have to pay an admission fee, and then you have to buy food, and you have to buy drinks, and like you're basically supporting and helping these people make their rent that month until they can find another job. And it was so cool because for me, at least, it packed in so many details of the 20s, including but not limited to like that speakeasy feel. And then also highlighting the fact that it was especially hard to get well-paying work as a Black person in New York or anywhere in the United States. So I don't know. I really loved this. They go to this rent party, and she sees Miles there, and he does that thing where he goes right on. Oh, there's a lot of sex work shaming in this book. Trigger warning, sex work shaming. And and some slut shaming too. A lot of slut shaming in this.
Yeah. Light slut shaming.
Yeah.
Heavy sex work shaming, I would say.
Yeah.
I did all this. I want listener to know. I did a lot of research on what a rent party was and the 20s, and Melody just told you all of it. Oh. But I want you to know that I did it too. I also Googled that. So
I didn't Google it. I just knew that from being a blue dancer.
Stop. How dare you?
I didn't Google it. This is history I know from the blues dancing community.
Not only did Melody just have that in her head because she knows about the history of dance, but so did I, and I just want everyone to know that. So, yeah, so he just comes in and kind of like goes right up to her and like kind of like grabs her and starts dancing with her in a sexy, dirty dancing sort of a way. And then he's like, holster your weapons, baby. I'm just here to dance with you. And like, again, just be like, why did you leave? Why did you take my shit when you did?
You know what? Because his pheromones hit her. His whole sexy panther thing is just like really getting to her. And she can't help it. She gets all, I think she says, like, she gets all like stupid, or I don't know. She like loses her head, I think she says. When she's in his midst.
But just be like, I need to have a 10-minute conversation first. Let's just talk real quick.
Okay.
And then, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. Yes. I needed to step away from the romance again because I remembered why I went on the tangent about blues dancing versus Lindy Hop and stuff like that. And it's because Lindy Hop like basically fell out of favor because you could not do it at these parties. And so the fact that she says, no, I know, but the fact that she says that they did blues dancing and then a Lindy Hop and then like a different kind of swing dance, I call shenanigans. No, they didn't.
Oh, I see.
No, they didn't.
Well, maybe there weren't enough people at this rent party.
She said when they pressed themselves into the crowd when they walk in. They did not do the Lindy Hop.
Maybe they did a dangerous Lindy Hop.
Maybe they just took off
like bumper cars, like collision.
Yeah. Maybe they just decapitated folks and it was left off the page. I get that.
Maybe. Yeah. Stomping on toes.
Yeah.
So they do a sexy dance.
They do a sex dance. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then afterwards, he does like a sex kiss your hand.
Yes.
And that was pretty hot.
Yes.
But I will say that the only thing about the romance that kind of hit me, Melody, in the wrong places is just that a lot of it is just like very sincere and like very sugary sweet. And
there's no humor in this book.
No, I understand why other people like that. I just, I get weird to the point that I ruined the first time my husband was going to tell me he loves me because he wanted to take me on the carriage ride in Central Park. And when he suggested it, I was like, oh God, no. Oof, carriage rides, they're so, and like the poor horses and like, and I go on this tirade just shitting on his I love you plan. So that's just me, Melody. Mm-hmm. That's all.
But it's also, it's repetitive too. Like I can't, like, I feel like when you do one of those like sugary, sweet, like very sincere overtures, right?
Yeah.
If you do too many of them, they kind of lose their thing. And he tells her, I missed you more than you know, like that particular quote, so like 5 times. And it's like, but you know, you gotta, like every time he talks to her can't be this like big, I loved you so much thing, especially without being like, and this is why I abandoned you.
Right. This is why I did you super wrong and broke your hearts.
Yeah. Anyway.
Listen, it worked for Leigh, I guess, and that's really what matters.
Right. So, like, Frank, who is, like, the person
like the
of the person
player.
Who is the piano, like, he is a gamble. He does a gamble.
He does
at
some
the party.
gambles.
Then Miles gets a job doing a piano at something called the Cotton Club.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty rough.
Oh, it's racist all the way through and through.
It's racist all the way through.
It's racist by design.
A plantation-themed jazz club, which is, you really gotta try for that. And they did. So he only does that for like 2 weeks, I want to say, because he's not about participating in.
It was also a real place.
What?
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I'm not surprised that, you know what I mean? Like,
no, so
I'm not surprised that there were racist jazz clubs where it's like white people are the patrons and like everyone who works there is black. But it's like they had like a painting of like a cotton field on the stage. Ugh.
Yeah. So it was basically set up as a like white pillars, as if you're looking off the porch, I guess, of a plantation house. And the only people who were allowed admission as patrons were white. And then everybody who worked there, both staff and the entertainment, were black. And this was done by design. So he is like, wow, I'm really excited because the paycheck is really good, but like, I'm not going to stay on with this band at this club because what does he say? He's like, I felt like I was being
he felt like he was performing, like he was an animal performing, like it was a zoo and stuff. Which, it's like a
the
plantation
mood and the
fantasy.
style of music had him feeling like some exotic animal on display in a jungle. Oof. Yeah, real place, real thing. Really happened.
I guess I'm not surprised, but it's just...
No, I know. It's just horrendous.
Yeah.
So Frank does get beat the fuck up because of a gambling debt.
Because he owes a gambling whatever.
Yeah.
And now, not only do we not have a singer at the club, but we don't have a piano player.
What?
And you know who plays the piano? He's so good and well. Is Miles.
Tinkles on those ivories. Real well, I've heard.
And he's going to take that job.
Yeah.
Because he needs the job, but also because of Leigh.
Because he's trying to get some forced proximity up in here, and it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, and to be clear, Liz does ask Leigh's permission before she does this, because she
right, but he doesn't.
No. And I like
because
it.
Because she asks, and Leigh's like, you know, whatever, I get it, you need to do it, whatever. Mm-hmm. But then he's like, are you comfortable with me doing this? And she's like, if I told you that I wasn't, would you not do it? And he's like, haha, you got me there.
I liked it. Okay, so then they go for a walk. He asked her to go for a walk.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, do you want to get ice cream? I remember that vanilla is your favorite flavor. And she's like, you did?
Can I just, like, okay. I don't know. Like, listen, the 20s, maybe they didn't, like, have more flavors.
Sure.
But by the statement that they said that vanilla was her favorite,
there were other options.
Believe that there were more flavors than vanilla. And if there is any more flavors than vanilla, you've got a problem if vanilla is your favorite flavor.
You know what? I would argue that vanilla is not a flavor. Vanilla is the base.
It's the base.
And then the flavor, otherwise you just like ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like you just like ice cream. And then if you like a certain just like, flavor, it has to be like
cold
chocolate.
Cream.
Right.
I'm saying this out loud. You like to eat cold, flavorless cream. And I don't understand that.
Wow.
Do you think maybe back then vanilla was more flavory because they would like use the beans?
I think it was actual vanilla beans and syrups and stuff. Yeah.
I don't know. She lost me on this. I couldn't deal with it. And then he says, like, I know everything about you, my baby. Like, I know how you make a damn good apple pie. It's all food-based.
I've got it. I know how you like your ice cream. Somewhere. I know that you like your ice cream.
Yeah. I know how you like your ice cream. Nothing. I know how you like nothing.
I know, it says, I know that you like ice cream. Like every other bitch on the planet, you're right?
Yeah.
Like, anybody who has encountered ice cream likes it.
This is like, whatever that book was where they bonded over how they like tacos. And it's like, every bitch likes tacos. Like, because it's a thing and you put whatever you want. You put all your favorite things inside of it. And then you munch it. Like, every girl likes tacos. That was the one where they were the text friends.
Yeah.
Let's get textual. They were the ones that liked, and it was like, you like tacos too? Well, we're made for each other.
Tacos and ranch dressing, I feel like.
Yes.
Okay, wait. You dunk your toast in your coffee and can make a prize-winning apple pie.
And has she won a prize with her apple pie?
Listen, I think she won the prize of his heart with her apple pie. Listen, and then it says he moved closer and reached for a strand of her hair because there is a lot of romance in this book. And it says, I know that you love reading and art sculptures and that you twirl your hair around your finger when you're thinking or when something is bothering you, he continued passionately. More? Mm-hmm. And she can't make words, and I get that. And then he tops it off with, I remember your sounds of pleasure when I touch and kiss you. They're standing in the street and it says her knees turn to jelly. Mine would also turn to jelly, friends. If somebody just apropos of nothing reminded me of my sounds of pleasure when they touch and kiss me. I'm going to be a jellylicious person at that point.
I mean, I don't disagree. I feel like some of those things were things that everybody's about. And then some of those things were crazy weird, like the toast and the coffee. Super weird. I know that you like art sculptures. Let's pause for a moment there.
She likes sculpture. Mm-hmm. She likes it more than painting.
I understand. I get what art sculptures is. But here's the thing. Where we left these two, they were outside of Magnolia, Arkansas in 1924. What sculptures?
I don't know.
Because now, if you're in Magnolia, Arkansas right now, you could Google up sculptures on the internet and be like, that's my favorite kind of art.
I like that art sculpture.
What is she? Is she getting like a sculpture
is what I just said.
Catalog? Is she getting a sculpture newspaper? Or she's like, gosh, I like a good sculpture.
Maybe she knew a sculptist. Okay.
In Magnolia, Arkansas.
There are artists everywhere. Maybe she knew a whittler.
I want you to imagine.
Whittler.
No.
Whittling on those sculptures.
No.
Whittling.
Listen to me. Listen.
Tell me everything.
Think about the beginning of A League of Their Own.
How dare you, madam?
Where they, in their farm place.
How dare
which is 10 years after this. And then think of Gina Davis being like,
I like all
you know what I love is a fucking art sculpture. God, I can't get enough of them. That's fucking nuts. That's nuts.
I bet everything is so researched in such a detailed way in this book that I feel like this has precedence and we're just too dumb to know about it.
No. No.
You refuse?
No. I think this author forgot that they hadn't known each other in New York yet. That's what I think.
Fair enough.
I cannot abide. But in Magnolia, Arkansas, she was like, you know what I hope to see someday? Sculptures.
I bet that she
That's
knew
my
a whittler
interest.
who had a lot
That's an interest that I talk about to my friends. That's
a talented
fucking insane.
Whittler. So
Whittler.
There. Okay. So now he is thinking about their last conversation and he's like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that to her. Like, I didn't mean to.
He didn't want to do it that fast.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say all that to her.
He didn't want to go too fast. But, like, also, you didn't have a problem barging in on her piano times.
Fair enough. And, like, here, listen, this is understandable for the time and place and all that kind of thing. But there's also a lot of trigger warning purity culture in here. Because, like, I just looked down and the first line I saw was, she'd given him her most precious gift, something that should be for a husband, and he should have done more to protect and care for her. Because now, Erin, she's like a torn up gift. The wrapping paper is torn, it's been pooped on, and it's a sad. And listen, again,
I think we should have
sense
known
for this book.
I think we should have known from the moment she said that he took her innocence that was going to be
come back
part of this.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. Fair. I sort of wish that she had like gone absolutely wild after this, and I'm sad that didn't happen, but it's okay. Not everyone is a Melody, I suppose.
Yeah, this is one of those books where it's like in the time period between the two people, they didn't really ever like anybody at all. But he didn't like him.
But he boned them.
He boned them, but he wasn't into it.
No.
You know, like, I don't like that when there's a large gap. Like, usually there's somebody you're into in the middle there, you know?
Yeah. No, anyway. I hear you. So anyway, he goes back to the club and he, before their like first set, I feel like he goes into the dressing room and he's like, she's like, what are you doing in here? And he's like, I just wanted to see you because I missed you. And she's like, you're going to see me in 15 minutes on stage. And then he says, but I can't do this on stage. And then boy, does he smooch her.
He smooches her good.
Yeah.
And then after the smooch, it's a good smooch. And then
it's a good smooch.
Her friend Liz is like, so you and Miles are back together? And she's like, no, why would you ever say that? And she's like, because your lipstick is all the fuck over your face. And I think, is that after she goes on?
No.
Okay, good. I thought she went out there with lipstick all over her face. It would be pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. And then, like, one of the bandmates is like, you better stop looking at her like that before you burn the place down. And he's like, how dare you say true things to me? That's rude.
Right.
Don't call a person out.
So I want to say this now. He keeps saying to her, I've missed you. You have no idea how much. I want another chance. Like, when they were dancing, he was like, I ruined it last time, but this time I know it's going to be better. And like he keeps saying shit like this, and she keeps being like, what do you mean? I don't understand. Like, she keeps being surprised by it. Like, a little bit later, this guy, like, I think later in this night, this guy flirts with her, and he's like, burr, burr, burr. And she's like, well, if I didn't know better, I would think you were jealous. And he's like, I am jealous. I want to be with you. I want another chance to be with you.
Would like to press restart on our relationship.
And then, like, 3 pages later, she's like, why are you here? What do you want with me? What are your intentions? And he's like, I came back because I missed you so much.
I want to be with you. For real.
My intentions are, we just did smooch back there. That's my intentions. And then, like, the next time it'll be like, is this a date? Is he taking me out? Does he want to rekindle what we had? And it's like, yes!
Yeah, no, he definitely does. He definitely does.
And then she's like, gosh, I wonder why he left. But then it's like, then they'll have a conversation where she'll be like, did you sell my music sheets? And he'll be like, no, I kept them to remember you by. And she's like, okay. I guess I'm going to go do my laundry now. This conversation is over. And it's like, no, ask him why he left. Like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, all of that's true. So now, what happens?
I think this is where he takes her to, like, poems. Does he take her to poems?
Maybe.
He takes her to some kind of, like, performance or something.
Hey, HBs. I started an Etsy store. Did you know? Right now, it's full of all the St. Vincent items you need, because St. Vincent is thoughtful and cozy all year round. We've got a book sleeve to keep your books, planners, e-readers, or really anything else safe when you're on the go. The inside is fuzzy, and they feel so incredibly lush in your hands. I went round and round with the manufacturers to make sure I had just the right thickness. Those feature art of St. Vincent and Evie during their carriage adventure that was painted by the amazing Mayara Faraz on one side, and then I created a St. Vincent Would Always wreath on the other side that has a bunch of little Easter egg items in it. There's a St. Vincent Would Always warm brick enamel pin. It's like, if you know, you know. I designed a special edition Marriage of Convenience candle that is specific to Devil in Winter, with the help of HB Jen at Post Pouring Company. It combines dark amber for St. Vincent and rosewood for Evie, and it smells so delicious. It's hard to even wrap my brain around. So if you want to treat yourself or be the St. Vincent you want to see in the world by getting a care package for a friend, check out our Etsy store. The link is in the show notes.
Thing like that?
Yeah, that sounds
where it's
right.
like it's cool revolutionary visionaries doing like poems or art or something like that.
Yes, he does. Would you like to accompany me to a gathering? She does meet Langston Hughes and Zora, Neale, Hurston, and she also she meets a bunch of other people that she's like really, really stoked about for very obvious reasons, because incredible. And she's like, oh my gosh, I love spending time with him. I hope he doesn't break my heart again. And it's, And he's like, I love seeing the excitement on her face. I love being the person to put that excitement on her face. Like, it's all I want to do for the rest of my life.
I need to say this.
Please tell me everything.
sometimes the history stuff and the race stuff is put into this book in a way that's really good, like the Cotton Club. I thought was a really great way to highlight like what the music scene was for somebody like Miles at that time, right?
Yeah.
Then other times I feel like it's super weird, like this dialogue exchange.
Oh.
On the drive home, Leigh said, I can't believe I had a chance to meet all of the people I've read so much about. How did you manage to get an invitation? He says, I met Taylor Gordon a couple weeks ago. Ms. Walker is a big supporter. He's done some theater. She says, that's nice. Do you ever think that race will be treated fairly? Like, that's just like, I just felt like it was...
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like
Do you
sorts
ever
of
think
things
the
where
race
it's like,
will be treated fairly? Yeah. Yeah, and like...
You know, like, it just didn't feel like the dialogue flowed right.
Totally.
And then they get in a conversation about race, which is, you know, cool to read in the historical context of these two in this time.
Yeah.
But it's like...
But it feels like it's sort of shoehorned in.
Yeah. And then other times it feels really... It's good. You know, it has to do with the characters and their story. And then other times it feels like it's kind of like a dissertation that's kind of added into their... Not dissertation, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like added into their dialogue in a way that these two, I can't imagine talking about that in that way at that time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And while I was reading it, I wondered if some of it has to do with like the 1920s sort of like cadence of speaking, you know, like sometimes,
that could be it.
But yeah, there were times when I was like, why is this happening right now? Like, I like that we're finding out about this thing, but I sort of wish that it happened within the narrative instead of like
within
between
the story.
two
Like,
pieces
it wasn't
of the narrative.
Yeah. It wasn't in the story.
Like one time he's driving his car and he's driving it like, to my memory, for no like super big reason, if that makes sense. And he's pulled over by cops, and like it was a really impactful scene to watch because the police officers like are very super racist, and they follow him back to his apartment building and like watch him go inside, and all of that was like very, very impactful. But I was like, why was he driving again?
Yeah.
Like I don't know where he was
like
going.
The Cotton Club scene made a lot of sense because we needed him to not have a job so that he could come back to the club and work there. So that's like part of the story. And some of the other stuff didn't seem like part of the story. And it kind of took me back to the book we read for Veterans Day last year with the World War II, with the ladies in World War II that fell in love, and
the B-52s.
Yeah. And like that was the same kind of way. It's like to get the history in, sometimes there was just like some random shit that we were reading about that had nothing to do with any of the stories that were going on. Yeah, it just kind of took me out of it sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then other times it worked.
All right, so then he takes her home. And oh boy, does he start... Listen, this goes from 0 to kissing on her tits. Like literally.
Yeah.
He walks over to her and he starts putting his hands over like the like her and her décolletage, and then he literally just pulls her top below her boobs and then starts suckling on them, it says. Yeah, it was incredible. I was so happy about it.
It's done. Then he's like, and now we're done.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
And I must leave.
And she's like, hello.
Why did you leave me 3 years ago? No, she doesn't say that. She just wonders it privately in her head, and she's very conflicted about the whole thing. Yeah, she says, why did you stop? Miles groaned and set her away. Things are about to get out of hand, and we need to slow down, sweetheart. He righted her clothes. I'm trying to be good, and you're making it very difficult. You were being good, she countered, wrapping her arms around him. He laughed softly and pulled her closer. Ha ha ha. You are something else. I have to go. Otherwise, we'll end up doing something we aren't ready for. And it's like, she's
ready. She's definitely ready.
Okay,
but then you're right. Sometimes the phrasing just like really, really sort of took me out of it, because the next thing she says is, you're probably right, but I did enjoy your kisses. And that's just not something I can see me saying.
A person saying.
Yeah. Definitely not me. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So now they're going to do more club times together. And like Liz is banging a bootlegger, which I really liked. Yeah. That was a fun little...
And then she has a whole conversation with Liz about like, why do you think he left me? Do you think it had something to do with another woman?
Oh, that's right.
Ask him. Ask the man. Why did you leave me?
Yeah, fair. And Liz does say, have you asked him? And she's like, no. No, I
And sometimes even says, I need to explain to you why it is that I left. And she's been later. Like, I have to perform. Goodbye. Okay.
All right.
Then he writes her some music for them to do.
Man, does he ever?
They talk. He says, there are a few things that aren't finished between us, but I'm sure they'll settle themselves in time.
Not if you don't open your mouth.
He leaned forward and trained his midnight gaze on her. I dreamed of being here with you like this for 3 long years, and there's no comparison to the real thing. And it's like, and
it says Leigh almost fainted. I
left. That. Yeah, just something. Okay. So what happens now? Okay, so then is the scene where he tells her why he left. Listener, we are 50% into this book.
This is our primary.
We are 48% into this book.
Okay, 48.
Ma'am. This has been our main conflict, okay? We have been on the edge of our seat for why he left her in the middle of the night, high and dry. We know he stole her music to remember her by, but we don't know why he left. So here we go. Are you ready?
Wait. Don't they bang first? How fucking dare you?
Do they bang first?
You're gonna skip over the banging?
Oh, okay. Yes. They bang first. Go ahead and talk about that.
Oh my God, Melody? Do they bang? It's hot.
Back to you, Mel.
Thank you. So they go up to her apartment and he does these, oh man, it says, Miles captured her mouth in a slow as molasses kiss. Whew, it's hot.
I like a molasses kiss.
Right?
That's nice.
Oh boy. Yeah. And then it's talking about the swirly gigs his tongue is doing, only much more eloquently than I'm doing.
Although the swirly gigs his tongue did into her mouth were strange. She said something. She really did say swirly gigs.
His tongue made sweeping, swirling motions in her mouth, and a flurry of sensations raced through her. That's understandable.
But I've never read a tongue that swirls inside the mouth, and I wasn't real certain about that one.
That's okay. So anyway, he's got abs and a boy, and he says you're more beautiful than I remember. She says he looks like a
sculpture. Because she's seen one now.
Yeah, she's been to the Met, you fuckers.
How much she did think she would love sculptures if she ever did see one.
She went to the Met and she thought to herself, man, I thought Whitland was good. But this marbles.
I thought the hay sculptures back home were so pretty. Now that I see one made of stone, I know what they're really like. My gosh. I know that you love art sculpture. It's a weird interest now. It's a weird interest in 2021. Imagine reading a book where it's like, I know everything about you, Melody.
You know what? I bet there were butter sculptures at the state fair. How dare you?
I don't know, though. Butter sculptures at the state fair are something that we have been able to do because of the modern marvel of refrigeration. Yeah. And I don't know that that's something.
All right.
I watched a lot of Boardwalk Empire, which is basically a documentary. And I don't remember a lot of refrigerators
there. No. Yeah. There was no butter sculpture subplot that I can recall.
Mostly, if I recall correctly, opiates and the mob.
And incest.
A lot of incest. Yeah.
Had to stop
and a lot
after
of sex
season.
You didn't want to watch. Yes. A lot of sex that I was like, please stop.
This can be closed door, everyone. I'm fine with that. Never said that in my life.
Bing, boom, bong. Time for Boardwalk Empire. I have a pretty high threshold for stuff on TV. Or, stuff in general. I can look at a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I didn't make it all the way through Boardwalk Empire.
Neither did I.
Due to violence. I couldn't do it anymore.
Really? Yeah.
Due to violence.
I couldn't do it after after the mom stuff, and then after that, character got put down. Couldn't do it anymore. It was over for me.
I lasted a little longer. I'll tell you when I stopped because
please.
Horrifying.
Oh, good.
And I can't.
We're not going to say it now.
I don't want to ruin anyone's day. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, so he then fingers her to completion as well. Okay.
Played her
like a bagpipe.
Jazz.
Like
jazz
a saxophone. That's a jazz bagpipe, right? Is a saxophone?
Yeah, sure.
Close.
Yeah. Somewhere out there is somebody who is playing a jazz bagpipe. They're out there and they're trying to make their way.
Oh my God, please email us and send us your YouTube videos, please.
The idea that the Venn diagram of Heaving Bosoms listener and jazz bagpipe person intersects is like my dream. If that's the case. Anyway, all right. Okay.
So then,
hey, listener, don't email us and be like, I don't play a jazz bagpipe, but I do play a bagpipe.
Yeah, we don't care. That's just bagpipery. Okay, congratulations. I'm proud of you.
We don't want 20 emails about bagpipes.
But you need to play jazz with your bagpipe.
You need to play a jazz.
If you're going to
improvise.
Yes. Okay. Improvisational bagpipe. Thank you.
With others.
Group activity. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And it must be jazz.
Yeah. That's what we said out loud. So do it or don't, you know?
I don't know why I get so mad about emails.
This is when we find out that he he notches his condomed cock at her entrance, and she tenses up a little bit, and he's like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And she's like, "It's all right. It's just that there's been no one since you." And he's like, "Okay, we'll go slow like the first time." And
this is number 2.
Yeah, this is the second time she's had sex in her entire life. And that's fine.
Well, they've really misled us, though, because from Miles' perspective, he's like, I remember her. I remember the tiny moans of pleasure that she'd make when I'd touch her. Like they had this long sexual history. And apparently they had 2 pumps and a shutter back in Arkansas once.
I mean, maybe he was fingering her like a jazz bagpipe all over the place. You know, there could have been other non-cock penetrations and clit diddles that happened. You know, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he did.
Yeah, you said words there.
All right. So then they do have sex, and now, Erin, it's your turn. Now that I'm done.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
They're laying in silence, post-coitus. All right. She says, she's ready to ask. She says, "Why did you leave me?" And we're like, this is what we've been waiting for the whole book. What's the twist? Who died? Is he a secret agent? What's,
Mm-hmm. Did he think about entering a priesthood of some sort? Who knows?
What was the crisis that kept this man from the woman that he loves for 3 years?
Yeah.
His deep sigh ruffled the silence. I owe you an explanation. Another minute passed before he started speaking.
That's a lot of heartbeats.
My mother died when I was 3, and I was like, okay, the fact that you're starting at 3 years old already tells me that this is not going to be a good explanation. Interesting. Because the fact that you've backed it up that far tells me this isn't going to be a good enough excuse for me. Okay. It devastated my father. My grandmother, his mother, tried to get him to stay with her in Louisiana, but he was so brokenhearted that he packed me up and took to the road. He could play that piano much better than I do, so he always had a gig somewhere. We never stayed in one place more than 2 or 3 months, but whenever we went, he managed to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. I remember sometimes walking for hours to the next town and being happy when someone came along in a buggy to give us a ride, especially during the summer heat or winter freeze. It wasn't an easy life, but he was my pa, and I didn't mind, as long as we were together. Okay. All right. Okay, we're listening to the story. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway, that was my life until he died in the war. After that, I tried to go to Louisiana with Mama, get a farm job, but I couldn't stay. A few months later, I hit the road again. But when I met you, something inside me wanted to stay. Mm-hmm. Miles propped up on an elbow and peered down at her. That first time I heard your voice, I was a goner, but that's not what captured me. No? She asked. He shook his head. He placed his hand on her heart. This is what held my attention. He never fucking tells her. he says he wanted to stay. And then he just says
he didn't know how to stay.
Your amazing heart and giving spirit held my attention. I told you back in Magnolia, I've never met anyone else like you. I didn't want to leave you, Leigh, believe me, but I didn't know how to stay.
Which is really funny because that was the whole point of them spending the night together, is that they were both leaving together.
She didn't want him to stay. They were
she
going to go.
She didn't want to stay either.
I know. Together.
So the way that I rationalize this,
he literally, you guys, he gives her no explanation. Yeah. This is like when you're in a relationship with somebody and they're like, oh, I had to leave you because I got scared of my feelings. That's not real.
What this is.
This guy's a fuckboy. Like, get out of here, Leigh. And it never gets better.
He was a fuckboy 3 years ago. He has changed.
What changed him? He doesn't even say.
The long years of being without her, he says.
Oh, so one day he just woke up and was like, oh, I loved Leigh?
I think it was when he hit that art sculpturist in San Francisco. And he bought that art sculpture and he was like, I need to get back to her so I can give this to her. Oh man, I really miss Leigh. I really need her in my life again. I mean, that was part of it, I think.
Well, I'm glad he got tired of traveling so that he could be with me. Like, I don't like it.
Yeah. So for 3 years, he has been trying, he's had a song swirling around in his head. The notes have been all jumbled up in there and he's been working on this song and he hasn't been able to find the missing piece. But he does almost literally say he found it at her cervix because it says he loved her and he finally had the missing piece to the song he'd been working on for 3 years. And then later on, he's like, I didn't know it until we made love. And so I think the answer was at her uterine opening. You know what I mean? I think that's when he found her. Found the
I hate it.
Answer.
I hate it. If a man treats you this way, don't get with him. Don't be with him. This man sucks. All right.
I mean, he's great now.
Is he?
Yeah, throughout the whole book, I was like, oh no, he's here to stay. He loves her to death and beyond.
Sure. Until like, that's the thing. If he can't give you a solid answer why he left or why he came back, he's not here permanent. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because, he loves her now until he gets another wild hair and he's like, you know what? I feel like being on the road again. I'm a tumbleweed. Like, you don't need that.
I'm going to go a tumbleweed.
No, you don't want that. No.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. So now the next thing that happens is that he starts working on these songs and he tells her that, like, he wants to be the person that gives her everything her heart desires. And it's a whole thing. And then he has 2 songs that he's working on. One he presents to the band and the band, like, immediately agrees to do it, which he wasn't sure was going to happen. Great song. Gonna do it. Awesome. And then another one that he's been playing, but he won't do really in front of her. And she keeps being like, so what's that song, that other one? You ever going to show that to the band or, like, to anyone? And he's like, no, it's not ready yet. I'll let you know. So when it's finally ready, he is practicing it in the restaurant and she comes down unexpectedly and hears part of it. And it's like, the one that he presented to the band is all about a girl who goes off to, like, make her dreams come true. And it's very obviously about Leigh and it's a whole thing. And then this one, he's decided to call Love Serenade and he did find it in her vaginal canal. So she's really excited to sing it with him. And then he figures out that they can make both of their dreams come true together with this song. Because Leigh's whole thing, since she left, she hasn't written to her parents at all because she wanted to wait until she became a big success. Yeah. So for 3 years, she hasn't written to her parents.
Her parents were big church people who wanted her to marry a church man.
And they're like, that's the devil's music.
Yeah. And so they're very like, you're a devil slut now. Yeah. So she wanted to be like the queen of the devil sluts.
Right. Before she
Papa,
let them know.
I make money being a devil slut.
Right.
And then they will accept her.
Yeah. So for some reason, she does write to them prematurely. Like, I think she finally, like, with Miles around and stuff, she's just like, I should finally write to them. So she does earlier in the book. And now Miles is like, we can work on this song, and I've got a connection to a recording studio, and I think we can sell this record. And I think that we can make a big time music record with this song. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's everything I've ever wanted. And he's like, I know. Also me too.
Mm-hmm. But this is the connect. He doesn't like get this connection now. Like he's had it.
I feel like he's had it. Yeah, but he just like hasn't had the right music or the right song or like the right inspiration or whatever to do it.
I just feel like, bro, you know Langston Hughes, like you should be bigger. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Kind of throughout the book, we find out that he has these like weird connections, and it's like, then why are you begging to work at the Cotton Club? Like, go cut a like record, you know?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
If he is as talented as everybody says, because like every time he plays the piano, everybody's like, wow,
whoa,
like you're the best at the piano, like, you know. So it's not like he has friends, but his talent is like trying to catch up to it.
No,
you know. So I don't know. Anyway. So
they decide they're going to put this record together. Meanwhile, they are going up to her apartment and they are banging left and right. There's also a night where where he makes her dinner. And it's very sweet. He makes her a whole fried chicken dinner. The timing of it didn't quite work out for me because I'm certain that because he cooked it and then he gets dressed and then like he walks over to her house and then he walks her back. And by that point, I am certain all the food is cold. So I don't know how that happened.
I don't know, though. Like, it's summer in Harlem. Does anything get cold?
Oh, you make a very good point.
However, my concern is this. Not that the food is cold, but that the food is in the danger zone.
Oh.
Of being at a temperature
yes,
that is optimal for the incubation of bacteria. And
Indeed.
if you have food, this is why you got to watch your buffets, make sure everything's under the heat lamps,
That's right.
You know? If you have food out between a certain two temperatures for too long, you are in the danger zone.
Bing, boom, bong, buffet safety with Erin.
Yeah, bing, boom, bong, food safety with Erin.
Yeah.
That's all.
Man, he makes her that dinner, though, and it is, like, delectable. I wanted to eat every morsel of it.
I could go a fried chicken right now.
Yeah. And then they meet with this dude, and Belinda's a big old bitch. And she's, like, really mean to...
She's the waitress that really liked Miles. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and she's, like, being super surly to only Leigh, even though Leigh's not the one who rejected you all over the place. Belinda, okay? So, yeah, she's a big old bitch to Leigh. And the guy's like, okay, I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'll hear you sing. And then, like, we'll see about signing a deal. So they knock his frickin' socks off. And then they go and they sign a contract. And, like, he gives her a big giant competence boner because he's, like, seeing all the loopholes and he's negotiating royalties. And, like, it's a bunch of stuff that's very hot to me, Melody.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then he's like, do you have time right now just to, like, get her done over in the studio? And they're like, yeah, I guess. So 3 hours later, they have a perfect song that they're going to sell, and it's incredible. So it's all done. Then when she gets home...
I thought you meant that they fucked in the studio.
No.
I was like, I missed that. But I was like, I'm just going to go along with it because I was herbsing, like, big swaths of this book, it seemed like. So I was like, maybe they did, like, fucking that studio and it took 3 hours? Okay. But no, you do mean that they did record that song.
That her is the record. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like a boat.
Get the record done.
Yeah, I gendered it in a weird way that we do in English.
I feel like that record would be a girl.
Probably. Yeah. It was, it's like
Seems
a love.
very sultry and smooth. Very seductive.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now she gets a letter that's like, want to come to Paris, ? Want your voice over a baguette. Thank you. And she's like, whoa, I don't know if I can go to Paris for a month and, like, drink wine and sing the whole time. That sounds like a dream come fucking true. But, like, what would I do with him at home and all this bullshit? And then he gets a letter that's like, you remember Chekhov's grandma that we presented in Act 1? She is sick. Okay? She's sick.
I just, listen.
What?
We've had, like, Chekhov's ex-boyfriend and, like, Chekhov's DNA machine, and, like, we've had some good ones. But, like, Chekhov's grandma is so funny to me because, like, you know, it comes from Chekhov's gun, which is something that you can pick up and like, it's such an object that I just... Chekhov's ex-boyfriend being an object isn't as funny as, like, a grandmother being like, we planted this grandma way back at the beginning, and now she's about to blow up.
This old lady. Oh, time's ticking.
Anyway, yeah, you're 100% right. I'm here with you. Yes.
So they're like, she's sick. You gotta come home. And so he's like, oh boy, I gotta find her and tell her about it. But she's on an errand. Oh no! Oh my god, I skipped an entire other subplot. Fuck.
What?
The Percy comes. The Percy.
Oh, that's a Chekhov's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, that is a Chekhov's ex-boyfriend.
There's two.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And they both felt equally important.
Percy was an asshole. This is the guy that she's escaping who, like, made himself out to be a minister. But she says at the beginning, she kind of drops that he's, like, a thief and a cheat and a something else.
Swindler.
But she doesn't really explain, like, why he's some kind of grifter.
Yeah. We find out later that it's because he presents himself as a churchman, but what he actually wants to do is whisk her away and make her be part of his, like, traveling music group or something.
Right.
That is not, that's not clerical in any way. So anyway, so he came and he was like, hey, your dad sent me to come get you, and you sent me, like, you did a big problem for me because I haven't been able to do this music group without you, and it's like some bullshit, and your dad still wants me to marry you, so, like, I'm taking you home. And she's very much like, fuck off right now. And we have this moment where he gets really upset and he, like, just leaves because he doesn't want to beat this man to a pulp. And there's this moment where she's like, oh my God, does he believe that I'm this dude's fiance after all? But she also doesn't believe that at all. And so I thought it was going to trigger her abandonment issues because that seemed like the main conflict, but it didn't at all.
No.
And then it like, he came back the next day and he was like, no, I just have a temper and I could beat him up.
See, that's the thing. It's like, it's not that all the subplots, conflicts were on the same level. For me, I'm not saying
yeah. No, that's fine.
Wrong in your interpretation, but, like, what you were saying about all the conflicts being the same level isn't the way I perceived it. It was that, like, all of the conflicts were non-conflicts. It's like the thing that you think is being set up to be the conflict between them, like his big secret, or this, like, nothing really, like, is a conflict once you get to it, and you've been waiting for the thing to blow up, and then it never does, and it doesn't pay off for that artificial waiting for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and, like, there is a component of that I just found comforting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of nice that they never like, really gave up on each other.
I like that there wasn't, like, a huge... I like that. You're right. That is kind of comforting. But then also, the waiting for it, felt so artificial and unearned.
The build-up, yeah.
That when it got there, then it was like, well, this has been for fucking nothing the whole time.
Right.
You know, all of this stuff that I've felt leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
Grandma. this creates this, no, we have to get back to the boyfriend because that happens before the grandma. Sorry, everyone.
I thought we were done with the boyfriend.
No, we're not. Do you forget? No. So this fucker goes and, like, ambushes her. First he comes to the club. Okay. And then he, like, tries to take her away that way, and Miles gets there just in time and, like, beats him up. And then he does pull a gun out of a holster and put it to this guy's middle of the forehead. And he's like, you need to fuck off right now, or else I'm going to put you in a body bag next time I see you. And I was like, hot. Okay. I'm really glad that, like, you didn't do that. But also, like, I'm also a little bit alarmed because now we've got a Chekhov's gun. Everyone. Okay. So then he leaves, and then later on in the story, two guys come and attack Miles at his apartment,
and he beats them the fuck up. And then
Miles becomes very good at beating people up in the
I have to find the
final act of this book,
because I almost sent you a screenshot of this. It blew me away. So this guy is like down on the ground and he's like, "Did Percy send you?" And then the guy says, and it's like, "Go to hell, the man spat." Wait. And then it says, Miles calmly shot him in the knee. He just calmly.
I loved it. I love it, though. I love that it's calmly.
Just like, boom. And then he says, "The next one's going to send you to reserve my seat. If you don't tell me what I want to know." It's so good. The guy said, "Go to hell."
It's so good.
Yeah. So
I got you because of going to hell.
Just
I understand it now. I get it.
It's a good joke. It's a good joke. But you know, with all the things that I put in there, you couldn't see the link back. I get that. So then he goes to the train station.
Shit you not.
Yeah.
A Model T just drove past my house.
No.
Yes.
What incredible timing.
Super strange.
Because Miles drives a Model T.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's down the street now. Anyway.
Wow. Okay. So then Miles has to go to the train station.
Shooting times is over. And Percy has her by a knife. And so he does get her away from him. And then he beats him up behind the train station. And then they put him on the train. And like, Percy's gone forever. Goodbye. And she does send a telegram to her parents that's like, "Percy is a crook. Stop. Had me at knife point. Stop. Is not a churchman. Stop." Which, like, once again... communicate with people.
I know. Just
she knew that from jump.
Well, they didn't believe her. She told them.
Did she tell them that though?
Yes.
Okay, I must have missed that. Okay.
Yeah, and they didn't believe her because they thought she just thought he was like 15 years older than her.
You could have saved a lot of heartache by telling your parents this 3 years ago.
They refused to believe her because she had that devil music inside her.
Right.
And so she everything she says could be a lie. So now it's grandma time. And he goes back to Louisiana, and Grandma does die, and it's very sweet because before she dies...
Very sweet, very sad.
Yeah, she gives him, like, his mother's wedding ring and, like, a picture of them and letters that they wrote back and forth to each other and stuff like that. And it's really, really sweet.
And this happens after the knee shooting times.
It does, yeah. Well, because... So before he goes to Louisiana, listener, I'm sorry I'm all over the place. I'm not even drunk anymore. It's worn off, I swear.
We both are clearly all over the place about what happens when.
I know.
So
No. So before he goes down, he goes to the shop, the restaurant, to be like, "Hey, I have to go to Louisiana, but she's not there." And so he writes her a note, a very detailed note, and he hands it to fucking Linda.
Always write a detailed note. Oh, and then Belinda.
Don't hand it to Belinda.
But don't give it to Belinda.
So then when Leigh comes in, Belinda hands her this thing that says, "Sorry, Leigh, had to leave. Catch my farts, Miles." And then she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that he's just doing this to me again."
"Catch my farts" is one of the funniest things to say as you're leaving.
It is. Oh.
Can I say I have not mentioned this on the show, but my husband recently left for a 6 months motorcycle trip.
Yeah.
And as he peeled out of our driveway, he did turn and shout, "Lose my number."
No. That's a really funny thing to shout.
But now, eat my farts. What's it? Eat
Catch my farts.
Catch my farts is the funniest thing to say when you leave, because you're like leaving and you could fart on the way and they could catch them. I love it. Let's write it down where I can remember to say it to people. I can't wait to leave a room and be like, "Catch my farts." I can't wait. I'm so excited. God, I thought "Lose my number" was the best, but no.
It's "Catch my farts." Okay. So
I love it.
So Leah's like, "Fuck that and fuck him. I'm going to Paris." And so she gets on a steamer boat and she's going to Paris. But then he comes back just in the nick of time.
imagining her on the back of that boat to Paris, which is leaving so slowly from the dock. Just catch my farts! Catch my farts! All the horn is like, catch my farts! You know. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Oh, shit.
Can we make it our new sign-off instead of keeping a badass? Like, I want to say it when we say goodbye every day.
No problem. We can do that.
Can that be in the reading embrace next time?
Yes. Catch my farts. Of course. Oh, shit. My whole face hurts.
Same.
Anyway, so he comes back and he's like, I'm going to get on that steamer boat too. And boy, does he. And then he runs into a reverend on the way. And before he finds Leigh, he does tell that reverend his whole love story. And the reverend's like, go get her, son. And so he does go get her. And he's like, I didn't tell you to catch my farts. That was awful, Linda.
I told you to treasure my farts forever.
That's
actually. Right. Here's one now.
What I told you was that I need you to treasure my farts as I go crop dust my grandmother's corpse. Okay? I'll be right back.
BRB. I want to fart under the covers with you forever.
Actually, he basically does say that because then he does ask her to marry him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's all marriage is.
It is.
One
truly.
Big Dutch oven for the rest of your life.
Oh, my poor husband, you know. It's very rarely the other way around. It's always me stinking him out. Anyway, so then they get married by that reverend on the boat.
Yeah, that reverend's on the boat. And they're just like, marry us, reverend. And that's cute. But, like, you're still going to have to pay taxes individually. Like, you still got to get married legal times. You can't just find a random boat, reverend. And also, author, Sheryl, you're on a boat. Boat captain. If you're on a boat, find a boat captain. You don't need a rando reverend.
Do it for you.
Get a boat captain.
Yeah, it was more sentimental, though, because he knew their whole story. You know.
Sure.
So. And so now they're married forever, and they did to get that hit record of the Jazz Times music,
but they never knew about it because they were in Paris involuntarily. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they tried to call and they weren't there because they were like, we made a mistake and went to Paris.
No, they came
it's
back.
Like the end of Overboard, but imagine that boat's on its way to Paris, and then it's like, oh shit, I guess we gotta go.
Ooh. So anyway, it was a lovely little 160 pages, I think.
Yeah, it was short.
Yeah.
I can't call it snippy snappy because it was short, but it was long to read. I don't know.
Yeah. I hear that.
It has a lot of herbs in it. There's a lot of herbs in this book.
Yeah.
But if you like history and you like this time period, there's also a lot of Easter eggs too.
Yeah.
That do go with the story. Like really I said, sometimes it meshes and sometimes it doesn't. But a lot of times it does, and it's fun to read about. Yeah. Kind of like that. If you like the World War II book with the lady soldiers and all the extra history stuff that was in there, you'll like this one.
I feel like they'll like this one more, though, because it is more romance. It's a lot more romance than the history. Yeah,
I'm just saying, if you could get through the history in the other one, and you like history, this is a breeze. You'll love it.
Yeah. So I really liked it, even though like normally it's not my tone. I liked it.
I didn't love it. Like, I just didn't buy the conflicts. And I'm sorry. I really wanted to like it.
You don't have to like every book, Erin. It's okay.
I know. But there are books that I'm more okay with not liking. I really wanted to like this one.
The cover
was so jazzy and fun.
Is so
the cover's
gorgeous.
Great. It was like it's a time period you never read about. Like it was a setting that I really liked. It was so, and I liked them. I just didn't love the book.
Well, and the cover. Sorry, I have to talk about it just for a minute. Mm-hmm. The cover perfectly matches one of like the dresses she very notably buys, and it's this outfit that she sort of curates and then ends up getting to wear for this record producer. Like it's very cool, and the cover does it perfectly.
I will say that the recommendation we got was for a book in this series.
Oh.
And so I went through all of the decades books, kind of flipping through and trying to figure out like which one would be the funnest which one did I want to read most?
Yeah.
And that cover really sold me. The cover / the time period. I was like, ooh, this is going to be fun. So yeah, it's a great cover.
Yeah, it really is. All right, Erin, do you have a lady love?
I didn't, but we were chatting so much about Scream beforehand that I'm going to... It's still spooky season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still spooky season.
We're in October, it's spooky season when this is coming out.
Yep. I think.
You just winced like it might not be.
I don't know. I don't know times.
It might not be spooky seasons. But I don't know if I've talked about how much I love the Scream franchise on this show. It is like a beautiful time capsule of the 90s, half legitimate slasher film. No, a third legitimate slasher film.
You were going to say
a third
half.
satire, a third
comedy.
Just straight comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like the second one is like, in the words of Sarah Nestle, who we just watched these together, is a love letter to wireless telephones. Like it's the technology is such a time capsule. The performances are ridiculous. The casting is insanely good in every movie. It's not without its problems, like sexism-wise, race-wise. It's still unclear to me whether those problems were intentionally done as satire because the movies are so meta. I don't know. I struggle with it. But anyway, I love Scream. I love the Scream franchise. And if you haven't seen them or haven't seen them recently, you should go back and watch those Screams because they're hilarious. They're so funny. They're hilarious. No one thinks about them being hilarious, but man... And all 3 killers are so hot. All of them. There you go.
Nice.
I won't spoil it if you haven't seen any Screams, but I got big crushes on all those murderers.
I love it. I love it. All right, I have 2 lady loves. One is surprise bedside chocolate. That was nice. I'm not going to lie to you. I literally woke up and I said, oh, chocolate.
What I'm imagining is, those videos where people put a treat by their dog's nose while they're sleeping.
It's like
and then the smell of the treat wakes them up, and then they're so excited to eat the treat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm sorry, this is the second time that I've compared you to a dog.
I haven't even noticed. It's apt.
I forget what the other one was. It was like it was not eating the mangoes with your hands, just your mouth.
Which leads me to my second lady love, and that is putting frozen mango chunks in your gin and mango juice cocktail. Oh, boy. That is good.
There's nothing more magical than fruit that gets you drunk. Those 1800s ladies really had a smart idea there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Even though that was kind of like forced upon them by the patriarchy. I don't know. I just feel like I can't say anything. I don't want an email. Here's the thing. It was forced upon them by the patriarchy because they couldn't drink in front of men. So what they did was they soaked the fruit in booze and then they ate the fruit and then they could pretend they were just eating fruit, just fresh fruit, just harmless.
Yummy fruit salad.
It's not devil juice that makes us.
It's the fruit saladist salad.
It's the fruit salad. But it's still a great idea.
It is. Fully.
Yeah.
All right. So you can find us all the places. Come follow us on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms. We're on Twitter at Heaving_Bosoms. We're on Facebook. We've got a group that is the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. We are on the internets, and that is heavingbosoms.com. And if you want a bunch of bonus contents and you want a preview of the Bonkers Romance Book Club, head over to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms Podcast.
You're getting early books over there. We're doing trivia nights.
Yeah. You're doing a book club with me every other month. Like we actually get together and chat about stuff. It's really fun. There's lots of stuff. Lots of bonus episodes. Tons of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
So yeah. All right. So keep being a badass.
And catch my farts, bitch.
Catch my farts. Bye.
Bye.
Oh my God.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.